Next, it's Truth or Fake. And Vedika Pahal is with me in the studio. So, Vedika, Donald Trump may have announced a ceasefire in Iran, but it's done little to quieten the growing wave of Democratic lawmakers calling for his removal via the 25th Amendment. Tell us more.
Yes, Jenny, it's true that scores of Democrats have been raising the alarm about Donald Trump's mental stability and have been calling for his removal, saying that he is unfit to serve. And this is after he used genocidal language at Iran on Tuesday, where he posted, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again." There was also his expletive-laden Easter Sunday post where he told Iran to open the strait or that they will be living in hell. And this tentative ceasefire agreement hasn't done much to quash these calls for removal, because over 80 House Democrats have made social media posts saying that Trump's cabinet should invoke the 25th Amendment to the Constitution, declaring him unfit to serve, or Congress should impeach and convict him, or both.
Hello, guys. Adam is here. So what just happened, guys? More than 70 Democratic lawmakers have gone public demanding Trump's immediate removal, a number that keeps climbing. This is not fringe rhetoric. It's a serious constitutional challenge to the presidency unfolding in real time. Where the Trump-supporting mob ran amok last month, Donald Trump today went on trial on the question of whether Donald John Trump is subject to the jurisdiction of a court of impeachment. Constitutional argument that you can't impeach a former president. The Trump legal team, though, seemed to be struggling to make their case that I don't know about off the top of my head. Here is what kicked this whole thing off. Trump made a threat, not a soft, diplomatic, careful threat, a full-on burn-it-all-down threat. He reportedly told Iranian leadership in plain language that he would destroy an entire civilization if his demands were not met.
And Bay Area Congress members Ro Khanna and Nancy Pelosi, among more than 50 House Democrats, calling for Congress to invoke the 25th Amendment to remove President Trump from office. That was in response to his social media post earlier today, where he wrote of Iran, quote, "A whole civilization will die tonight."
He's threatening the entire destruction of a civilization. He is calling Iranians animals. He is showing a total disregard for the humanity of people in Iran, in Gaza, in Cuba. This is a moral crime. It is a war crime. We need to be demanding that Congress convene today, and we need to be invoking the 25th Amendment.
We heard statements from a person whose mental stability has to be questioned for the statements that he has made about obliterating a civilization.
An entire civilization? Are you kidding me? That is not a negotiating tactic. That is not tough talk. That is a sitting American president threatening to wipe out an entire people on the world stage. And yeah, the reaction was massive. International leaders lost their minds. Our allies started making phone calls. The United Nations was buzzing. Foreign ministers were issuing statements. Analysts who have covered foreign policy for 30 years were saying they had never heard language quite like that come out of the White House. And here at home, Democrats and even some voices on the right started asking the same question out loud. Is this man fit to hold this office? Is he really the right person to have his finger on the button? Those questions did not come from nowhere. They came from what people heard. And what people heard scared them. A lot of them.
Yesterday, more than 70 lawmakers in separate posts on social media suggested the president's cabinet must invoke the 25th Amendment and admit he's unfit for office. Congress should pass impeachment articles and vote to convict him, or both. During his first term, he was impeached twice and acquitted. We reached out to state lawmakers, or those who represent California, to pose our accountability question asking, do you support President Trump's actions in Iran or oppose them? Here's what they told us. California Senator Adam Schiff says, quote, Congress must finally reclaim its war power from this increasingly dangerous president before more service members get killed.
Now here's where it gets really interesting, because this is not the first time we have been at this crossroads. Not even close. Trump has actually been impeached before. Twice. 2 times. And both times he walked out of it. The Senate acquitted him. He kept the job. He went right back to the Oval Office like nothing happened. So when you hear the word impeachment now, a lot of people just tune out. They say, okay, cool. They impeach him. The Senate lets him go. Nothing changes. We do this again in a couple of years. And honestly, I get it. That cynicism makes complete sense. The process has kind of become a punchline for a lot of Americans across the political spectrum. People who hate Trump think it never works. People who support Trump think it is always a witch hunt. And everyone in the middle is just exhausted by the whole thing.
Democrats are advocating for invoking the 25th Amendment and impeachment to remove President Trump from office. It comes after the president's threat yesterday that the whole civilization will die in Iran. And while President Trump did not follow through on the threat, the list of Democrats seeking his removal continues to grow. Here to break it down is the Hill's White House columnist Niles Stanage. Hey, Niles. So at least 70 Democrats have called for President Trump's cabinet to invoke the 25th Amendment. There's no indication that that is being considered. But how do you think we should consider this, maybe on a messaging standpoint from Democrats?
I think messaging is the key word, Drew. This is really a messaging tactic or a messaging maneuver to try to underscore what Democrats see as an instability on the part of the president. They are trying to dramatize that by suggesting the 25th Amendment should be invoked to essentially kick him out. There is no possibility that that will happen, not least because the cabinet is full of his allies.
But here's what I need you to understand. What is happening right now is not just another political tantrum. It is not just Democrats throwing a fit because things did not go their way. What is happening right now is a growing, serious, constitutional-level conversation about whether the mechanisms we have, impeachment, the 25th Amendment, are fast enough and strong enough to handle what is going on in this White House. And that conversation has teeth this time, real teeth. The kind of teeth that make people in Washington nervous. So, let us get into it. Let us talk about what is actually being said, what is actually being proposed, who is behind it, what it would actually take to remove a sitting president, and most importantly, what it means for you, for the country, and for whatever comes next. Because this is not going away. And if you are not paying attention, you are going to miss one of the most consequential moments in modern American political history. Stay with me. This is going to be a ride. All right, let us back up. Let us actually build this thing from the ground up because most people are missing the full picture here. And when you see the whole picture, it hits different. Trust me. So, first, the Iran threat. Let us talk about it clearly because the media has been kind of sloppy with the framing on this one. Trump reportedly issued a warning to Iran that was extreme. Like not, we will respond with force extreme, not, there will be consequences extreme. We are talking about language describing the potential destruction of an entire civilization. That is the framing that came out. And look, you can debate the exact wording. You can debate what was said in what context, but the reaction from lawmakers tells you everything you need to know because you do not get 70+ members of Congress calling for someone's removal over a misunderstanding. You just do not. That kind of coordinated public outcry takes real fuel. And this threat was the fuel. And here's the thing that gets me. This is the kind of language that if any other world leader said it, we would be calling it a war crime threat. We would be talking about international tribunals. We would be having emergency sessions at the United Nations. But because it is Trump, a certain chunk of the population is going to say he was just being tough. Calm down. The media is overreacting. And maybe some of those people are right to some degree. Maybe, but maybe not. And that uncertainty, that maybe, is exactly what is driving these removal calls. Because the people calling for his removal are not just saying we disagree with Trump's foreign policy, they are saying something much deeper than that. They are saying this man is making threats so extreme, so potentially catastrophic that the normal checks, elections, courts, public pressure are not moving fast enough. We need a constitutional off switch, and we need it now. And that is where we get into the two big pathways, impeachment and the 25th Amendment. And I want to walk you through both of these because people throw these terms around like they are interchangeable, and they are absolutely not the same thing. Okay, pathway 1, impeachment. Here is how it actually works. And I mean really works, not the TV version. The House of Representatives votes. Simple majority. If they vote yes, the president is impeached. That is it. That is all impeachment is technically. It is like an indictment. It does not remove anyone from anything on its own. Then it goes to the Senate, and in the Senate you need 2/3. 2/3 of all senators. That is 67 votes. Right now, Democrats do not have 67 votes, not even close. They would need a massive chunk of Republicans to cross the aisle and vote with them. And yeah, that is a very steep climb, possibly the steepest climb in modern political history. Now, here's the historical part that really matters. Trump was impeached in December of 2019. The charges were abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. This was over the Ukraine situation, the whole withholding military aid, pressuring a foreign government thing. House voted yes, Senate said no, he stayed in office. Then January 2021 happens. The Capitol. You know what I am talking about. The House impeached him again, this time for incitement of insurrection. And this time it was not just Democrats. 10 House Republicans voted yes. 10. That was historic. It was the first time a president was ever impeached twice in American history. And in the Senate trial, 57 senators voted to convict. 57. That is a majority of the Senate, but you need 67. So he walked again. This is wild, right? Can you believe this? 57 senators, that is 50 Democrats plus 7 Republicans, looked at the evidence and said, yes, this man should be convicted. And it still was not enough because the rules are the rules. And in this case, the rules protected him. That is not an opinion. That is just the math. So now we are in the current moment, and the question is, would a third impeachment go any differently? Probably not. If we are being real with each other, the math has not changed that dramatically. Republicans still control enough of the Senate to block a conviction. Unless something major shifts, and I mean truly major, the votes are likely not there. But here is why people are still pushing for it anyway, because impeachment is not only about removal, it is also about the record. It is about making every single member of Congress go on record and public with their name attached for history to see. It is about forcing a public debate that cannot be ignored or swept under the rug. And it is about political pressure, putting every Republican senator on the spot and saying you either stand with this or you stand against it. There is no hiding anymore. There is no staying quiet and hoping nobody notices. Your constituents are watching. The history books are watching. Okay. Pathway 2, the 25th Amendment. This one is different, and honestly, it is scarier in some ways for everyone involved. The 25th Amendment, Section 4 says this: if the Vice President and a majority of the Cabinet decide the President is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, they can transmit a letter to Congress saying so, and the Vice President immediately becomes acting President. The President can then push back and say, "Nope, I am fine. Give me back my job." And then Congress has to vote. You need 2/3 in both chambers, the House and the Senate, to keep the Vice President in charge. If you do not get 2/3, the President comes right back. Now, the 25th Amendment has literally never been used to remove a sitting president. Not once in American history. And the barrier here is not just political, it is also deeply personal. You are asking the Vice President to essentially lead a move against his own boss. That is not a small ask. That takes guts or desperation or both. And here is what Democrats pushing this path are banking on. That at some point Trump's own people, his own cabinet, his own VP, look at the situation and say, we cannot do this anymore. That the threats get so extreme, the behavior gets so concerning that the people closest to him decide to pull the plug themselves. That is the theory. Whether that actually happens is a whole other question entirely. But here is why people are drawn to this pathway right now beyond just the Iran situation. It is about pattern. It is about accumulation. Over months, over years, there has been a growing chorus of people, not just Democrats, but former officials, military figures, foreign policy experts, people who actually worked inside the building, saying that what they are seeing from this White House crosses lines. Not policy lines, constitutional lines, safety lines, lines that have not been crossed before in quite this way. And when that chorus gets loud enough, when it includes enough voices from enough different corners, people start to take it seriously. And look, I want to be fair here. Trump has supporters who think all of this is garbage, who think the impeachment talk is just Democrats doing what Democrats do, refusing to accept results, using every tool they can find to undo what voters decided. And those people have a point worth engaging with because in a democracy, you cannot just remove someone because you do not like their decisions. That is not how it works. That is a dangerous road to go down. If you set the precedent that Congress can remove a president whenever the opposition party gets angry enough, that is a weapon that cuts both ways. Future presidents from either party could face the same thing. So the standard for removal has to be higher than "we disagree with him." It has to be about genuine unfitness, genuine abuse, genuine threat. And where exactly that line is, well, that is the argument the country is having right now in real time on the floor of Congress and on every cable news channel in America. So you have got two camps. Camp 1, Trump is dangerous, unfit, and needs to go through whatever constitutional mechanism is available, and 60 or 70 plus Democrats are ready to try. Camp 2, this is a political witch hunt. The process does not work and voters already decided. In both of these camps are absolutely certain they are right. The problem is, one of those camps might have to be right in a way that changes everything. Because if the Iran situation escalates, if another major threat lands, if something happens that forces this question from debate into action, then we are not talking about politics anymore. We are talking about a constitutional crisis, unlike anything this country has seen in generations. And that is not being dramatic. That is just reading the situation honestly. So let us get into the breakdown. Let us get specific. Let us talk about what this actually looks like, who is doing what, and what you should actually be watching for in the days and weeks ahead. So let us break it down nice and simple. 3 clean points, and then we will wrap it up. Point 1. The calls are real and they are growing. This is not spin. This is not overblown. More than 70 Democratic members of Congress have publicly gone on record calling for Trump's removal from office. 70 plus people putting their names to it publicly, officially on the record. Some are calling for impeachment. Some are calling for the 25th Amendment. Some are calling for both at the same time, but the message is the same across the board. They want him gone. And the coordination behind this push is real. These are not random backbench lawmakers venting on social media at 2 o'clock in the morning. These are committee members, senior legislators, people with real seniority and real influence standing up and putting their political reputations behind this demand. That matters. That is a different level of seriousness than we have seen in previous removal pushes. And yeah, the Iran threat is the main driver right now. When a sitting president makes a statement about destroying an entire civilization, you are going to get a reaction that is not partisan. That is just humans responding to extreme language coming from the most powerful office in the world. You will get that reaction no matter who said it. The sheer volume of the response tells you how seriously people are taking this. Now, these calls have not produced an actual vote yet. No articles of impeachment have been formally filed at the time of this recording. No 25th Amendment letter has gone out, but the pressure is building. And the fact that 70-plus members are publicly associated with this movement means the leadership of the Democratic Party has a decision to make. And soon. Do you get in front of this train or do you get run over by it? That decision is coming faster than a lot of people realize. Point 2, the math is still really hard. I want to be honest with you here because I think you deserve that. Even if the House impeaches Trump tomorrow, even if they go through the whole process, hold the hearings, file the articles, and pass them on a party line vote, the Senate math is brutal. You need 67 senators to convict. Right now, there are 47 Democrats and 47 Republicans and 6 independents in the Senate, give or take. Getting to 67 means convincing roughly 15 to 20 Republican senators to vote against a president from their own party in today's political environment. In this climate, are you kidding me? The last time we went through this back in 2021, 7 Republicans voted to convict. 7. And most of those senators paid a serious political price within their own party. Primary threats, censures, public backlash from their base. Some of them have said publicly that their careers were damaged by that vote. So when you ask, would Republican senators do it again and in greater numbers, you have to weigh that history honestly. So the question is not just can you get the votes? The question is, what would it take for Republican senators to risk their own careers, their own futures to vote for conviction? And right now, the honest answer is, we do not know. We genuinely do not know. The 25th Amendment path is even harder because it requires buy-in from the vice president and the cabinet. People who were appointed by Trump, who serve at his pleasure, and who have every political reason in the world to stay loyal. Unless something dramatic changes behind closed doors, that path is essentially theoretical right now. And that is not me being a Trump defender. That is just reading the Constitution as written. The numbers are what they are. Point 3. What you should actually be watching. Okay, so if impeachment is not happening tonight and the 25th Amendment is not happening tonight, what does any of this mean? Why does it matter enough to spend time talking about it? Here's why it matters. Because political pressure is real. It does things even when it does not immediately produce the result people want. When 70-plus Democrats publicly demand removal, that changes the conversation inside the building. It changes what reporters cover. It changes what foreign governments think about American stability. It changes what the stock market prices in when it looks at Washington. It changes what Republican senators have to answer for at their next town hall meeting. It changes the calculus for every White House advisor who is privately worried but has not said anything publicly yet. None of that is nothing. All of that is something real and consequential. And here's the other thing. This is the part that keeps political analysts up at night. Every major removal effort, every constitutional crisis, every historical turning point that felt impossible right up until the moment it happened, it started with exactly this kind of pressure. People saying it publicly, people going on record, people building the political infrastructure of accountability even before the votes were there to do anything about it. Richard Nixon was not removed. He resigned because the pressure built until it became politically impossible to stay, and nobody predicted that either, right up until the moment it happened. His own party eventually told him the votes were not going to be there, and that was the end. Now, I am not saying Trump is Nixon. I am not saying he is about to resign. I am saying that history is full of moments that looked impossible until they were not, and the question you should be asking is not, can they remove him tonight? The question is, what does the pressure look like in 60 days, in 90 days? If the Iran situation escalates further, if another threat lands, if public opinion shifts in a significant way, if something happens that makes 20 Republican senators look at their phones and go, okay, I cannot defend this anymore, because the 70 Democrats on that list are not going away, and the advocacy groups running campaigns calling for a third impeachment are not going away, and the international community watching American foreign policy with their jaws on the floor, they are not going away either. The pressure does not dissipate on its own. It either gets released through a formal process or it keeps building until something breaks. So here is where we land. The headline says, Impeachment finalized. Congress demands Trump out tonight. And look, the dramatic version of that is not quite literal reality. No final vote has happened. No conviction has come down. But the move behind that headline, the urgency, the desperation, the sense that this has hit a new level, that part is real. Very real. And anyone who tells you it is not paying attention to what is actually happening on Capitol Hill right now. What we have right now is a political pressure cooker. The heat is on. The valve is rattling. And whether that cooker boils over into an actual impeachment vote, an actual constitutional proceeding, or something nobody has predicted yet, that is the story you need to keep your eyes on, because this is not over. Not even a little bit. And honestly, the next few weeks might be the most important stretch of this entire presidency. So stay locked in. Do not look away, because the moment you do, that is when everything changes. And if you think what is happening with the impeachment pressure is wild, wait until you see what is coming next with the Iran situation itself. because there is a whole other layer to this story that the mainstream media is barely touching. Details that reframe everything you think you know about what happened and what comes next. And we are going to get into all of it right here next video. Do not miss it. Make sure you're subscribed because this is going to keep developing and changing.